Hi everyone, my name is Mark Moikens from Big Mountain Studio, and this is part 2 of our Itinerary App Series using source control. And this is the second part of using source control. If you haven't seen the first one, chapter 1, then I recommend you see that one first and then come to this one. In this chapter, we're going to talk about branching and merging and how to do those things inside of Xcode. These are things that will help you better manage your project when you add new features to your app. We'll also be talking about what conflict resolution is. And I'm not talking about when you get in a fight with your little sister and then your parents have to come in and figure out and resolve this conflict between you two. I'm talking about when two parts of your code that you're trying to merge together are different and Git or Xcode can't figure out which one to use, which change to use. So there's a conflict there and you have to figure it out. Okay, so let's talk about branches. What is a branch? A branch is something you can basically use to keep track of your versions of your code. It tracks your commits. So every time you do a commit, you have your message and there's a date that goes along with it, and then it keeps track of your changes that you made to all your files. So a branch kind of keeps this version history that you can go and examine and look at. And branches are also given names so you can better keep track of them, because there can be more than one branch. By default, the first branch is usually called master or the master branch. In Xcode, you saw the default branch and it has the name master as well. So this is usually the first branch that you always start with, which is the master branch, and all of your commits will happen on the master branch. Okay, so let's talk about this idea of branching with an example. Say you started to build your app and you added 2 features, and this is your minimal viable product. It's just enough features in your app that you can release it to the public and then start getting some feedback. So say this app right now from feature 2 has been released to the App Store. Meanwhile, you continue adding features to this app. So you add feature 3 and feature 4. But then you get some feedback from your users and they found a crashing bug in your app that you need to fix right away. So you need to fix this as soon as possible and release it to the App Store. So remember, just from feature 2 is in the App Store. So what do you do about features 3 and 4? You're not ready to release features 3 and 4 because they haven't even gone through testing yet. In this scenario, what you'd have to do is back out of those last 2 commits. And then you would have to apply your fix and then release that fix to the App Store again. Because remember, you want to get it out as soon as possible so users don't complain. And then after that is done, then you can reapply features 3 and 4 on top of that fix and handle any code that might be conflicting because of that fix. So is there an easier way of handling this scenario? Yeah, there is. And that is with the use of another branch. With Git, you don't have to have just one branch. You can create new branches from a commit on an existing branch and then give that branch a new name. The new branch will have all the commits and version history of the previous branch. So let's go back and look at that previous scenario. And let's see how we can handle that fix and the features differently. Okay, so we're at the beginning of this scenario. And as you can see, it's the same. You have the master branch, and this code has been released to the App Store. Now you want to work on version 2 of your app, which includes features 3 and 4. So what you do at this time is you create another branch and you put those features on it. And as you can see here, we named it version 2. Now, when the crashing bug is found on the version of the app that's in the App Store, which ends at feature 2, you can apply the fix on the master branch. Then you can have it tested and then released back to the App Store again. This time you didn't have to roll back features 3 and 4 because they're on a different branch. But when you continue with the new features, you also realize that you're going to need that fix back on the version 2 branch. So you want to merge that fix back into the version 2 branch. Now, that commit that contains the fix is also in version 2. Okay, that might be a lot to take in for now. So let's go into Xcode and let's see how we can create branches in Xcode and add some features and commits to that new branch. Okay, we're back in Xcode using the Git example project that we created in the previous tutorial when we first started talking about source control. Now as you can see here, we have a feature 1, So I want to kind of keep this similar to the scenario that we talked about earlier. So let's add a feature 2. Okay, so I'm just going to come into the view controller and I'm going to add a feature 2 to it. Feature 2, like that. Okay, good. Now I want to show you guys something. I haven't saved the file yet. I just want to show you something so you get an idea of what's happening if you come across this. Now what I want to do is I want to go to source control and I want to commit this change. Now notice it's unchecked. So if a file is unchecked, that basically means that you haven't saved the file. And you can still commit it. If you check it right here and then you add your message, then it'll actually save the file for you. But I would recommend, if you see it unchecked, cancel your commit and build it first. Because if you modified a file and then you go to commit it, your project might not be working. So what I would recommend is cancel your commit, go back into your project, build it just to make sure it builds, and then do a commit. We'll just call this feature 2. Commit that. Okay, and then at this point in our scenario, we have just enough features in our app, so we have our minimal viable product, and we release it to the App Store. It gets approved, and people are downloading and using your app now. So meanwhile, you say, oh, I want to work on feature 3 and 4. So what you do at this point, before you start feature 3, is you go back into your source control navigator, and then you want to create a new branch. So all you have to do is you just right click and say branch from master. And we'll call this version 2. Okay, great. Now you notice when we create a new branch, it also made it the current branch. So now if I do commits, it'll automatically go to version 2. It won't go to master. So if you click on version 2, you'll notice the history here. It contains all the previous commits from master. So now we have feature 1, feature 2, and now we want to add a feature 3. So let's do that. I'm just going to make a change here. Feature 3, save it, and then I would build it. And then I come up to source control. And by the way, what I'm going to start doing now is using the command option C for commit. So that's a good key combination to start getting used to, so you can easily and quickly do commits. Okay, and this is feature 3. Then we need a feature 4. Hold down command option C. Oh, notice. So what does this tell you? It means I haven't saved the file yet, right? So when I commit this, it'll save the file for me. But remember, that's a bad practice. If you see that, what you want to do is you want to cancel the commit, build it, make sure your app still builds, and then commit it. All right, great. So let's take a look in our version. And we see that we now have feature 3 and 4. Okay, great. Now at this point, this is when you start getting some feedback from users through the App Store. Your app's getting bad reviews because they found a crashing bug. And you don't want bad reviews on your app. So you want to fix this bug as soon as possible and just get it right back onto the App Store. So what you have to do is you have to go back to the master branch and apply that fix. Now to switch branches, what you do is you right click on master and you say checkout. So checkout basically means switch to a branch, so when you do commits, it goes to that branch instead. You know, one of the things that you might try to do is double click, and you think that might be what you do to switch branches, but it's not. All it does is it just brings up your version history here. So the thing you want to do is you want to say checkout. And you say, yes, I do want to check out. And now you see master is the current branch. So any commits you do now go to the master branch. So let's apply our fix. And we'll just go back into view controller. And you notice that we only have features 1 and 2. Say this is the fix for version 1.1 now. Okay, I saved it. We had the M for modified file. I'm going to hold down command option C to do my commit. And here, I'll just type in fix for version 1.1. Because my first version was version 1, and then with my fix, it becomes 1.1. So let's commit that. Now at this point, I release the app to the App Store. It gets approved, and users are happy again. They have the fix, and it's no longer crashing. So let's go back to work on version 2 now. So let's right click on version 2. We'll say checkout to switch back to the version 2 branch. And now you see version 2 is current. And we have our features 1, 2, 3, 4. But now we also need the fix in this branch too, because even though we have features 3 and 4, we can still reproduce that crash. So we need to get that fix in version 2. So what we need to do is we need to merge that last commit that's in master into version 2. And the way you do that merge is you right click on master, and you notice there's a couple of merge options here. So we can merge features 3 and 4 into master if we wanted to, or we can merge master into version 2. And that's what we want to do because the fix is on master, right? So we want to merge that fix into version 2 branch. So let's do that. And then it'll ask you, are you sure you want to merge the changes on master into version 2? You want to say yes, merge it. But look at this. Okay, see this C, the red C right here? That means there's a conflict. So let's click on that file and see what our conflict is. Okay, so you see on line 18 is really the conflict here because there's already code on line 18 in version 2. So on the right side you see version 2, and on the left side is what's in master. So how do you want to handle this conflict? Well, you have some different options, and your options are in these buttons down at the bottom. You can say, well, I want just what's over on the left side, which is master, or I want what's over on the right side, which is just features 3 and 4. But we want both, right? So that's where these other options come in. You can say, well, give me the changes on the left and the right. So then you see fix version 1.1, features 3 and 4, or you can do it the other way around. So the fix is on the bottom. I'm going to go with the first one because that makes more sense. We had feature 1, feature 2, then we had our fix, and then we had feature 3 and 4. So let's go with that option, and then we'll merge. Okay, good. So you see, this is kind of like a bug, I suspect, that's in Xcode with the branches. Sometimes the version history disappears, or sometimes the version history isn't updated yet. So what I'm going to try to do is basically switch branches. I'll go back to master, then I'll go back to version 2, and then we see the merge. Now there's something else I want to show to you too, is when there's a conflict, it's actually going to be 2 commits. So you see here, it has this little merge symbol, and this shows up as a commit, but we didn't actually do a commit, right? So this happened automatically for us. Merge branch master into version 2, and it shows up as a commit. But take a look at this. I'm going to hold down Command Option C, and you see there's still a change here, right? And it changed by inserting the fix. So what you're looking at here is basically the conflict resolution. And the conflict resolution gets recorded as part of the history. But we still need to do a commit. So we'll come here and we'll say merged in fix for 1.1. And you see the version history disappears again. So just click on master, go back, and there's still no results. This is totally a bug, and I'll probably have to submit this to the Apple Bug Reporter. All right, maybe if we go back and come back, nothing. All right, let's do this. Let's check out master. Okay, then let's check out version 2. There we go. Okay, now it's back. That's such a pain, right? Okay, so now you see the complete history. You see that there's a conflict here, and then we merged in the correct version after the conflict. If we take a look at this, let's double click it and take a look at what actually happened here. Yeah, you see this shows the conflict, right? There's a fix that conflicted on line 18 with feature 3, and it didn't know what to do. And then we came into here. I'm just double clicking this, by the way. And then we see that the fix was inserted onto line 18, and feature 3 and 4 is pushed down to 19 and 20. Okay, great. Let's continue. Okay, so let's talk about merging for just a little bit. I want to use this image here so you have a better concept of what we're going to do next. Okay, you're in the middle of adding all the features to version 2. You add one more feature, feature 5. It goes through testing, everything is working perfectly, and now you're done with version 2. So what do you do now? Now we can merge version 2 branch back into the master branch. And once it's merged with master, you'll probably want to do your testing again and make sure everything is working just fine. And then you can release it to the App Store. And as you can see, after the merge, the master branch now has a full history of the development. In this picture, I'm not showing the initial commit or feature 1 just because I didn't have enough space. But you can see on the master branch, it goes from feature 2, then you included the fix, then you have feature 3, feature 4. You also have the merge that you did when you put the fix in after feature 4, and then you have feature 5, and then you release it to the App Store. Okay, so let's go back into Xcode and see how we can merge version 2 branch into master. Okay, as you can see, we're still on the version 2 branch, and let's add our 5th feature. Okay, good. We save it, we build it, everything builds, it's gone through testing, everything is perfect, we have version 2 working. So now we want to release this. But before we release it, we're going to merge it back into master. So let's go to our Source Control Explorer, and then let's click on master, and right click on that, and then we want to say merge version 2 into master. So before I do this, just take a look at the history real quick. Notice that it goes from feature 1, feature 2, to the fix for version 1.1, and then at this point, that's the commit that went to the App Store, and that's what users are using right now. So let's right click on that, and now we're going to merge version 2 back into master. Oh, look at this. That's right, I forgot to commit feature 5, didn't I? Okay, so let's do that now. So Command Option C, and just to double check, yep, we have feature 5. So let's commit that, and now we're ready. So we're going to merge version 2 into master. All right, everything looks great, so let's merge that. And my version history is gone. So, do you remember how to get that back? Sometimes I can click from one to the other and it'll come back. But here, let's just let's check out version 2. And let's go back to master, check that out. All right, great. So there's our version history. And now, remember, it ended at 1.1 last time. So if you look at the history now, notice the fix for version 1.1 disappeared. And so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have our first merge. Remember, this is the one that contained the conflict. So that has the conflict resolution in it. And then we committed that. And then we committed feature 5. And then from here, this is where I release it to the App Store. So everything's working great. It's gone through testing. Congratulations. We now release version 2 to the App Store. And this whole cycle is pretty much the cycle that I use when I'm developing. I pretty much keep master as the version that's in the App Store. But you totally don't have to do that. You can actually create another branch for what's currently in the App Store. So if you have to make changes to it, it's just another branch, right? It's just another branch with another name. So you can use your branches any way you want. So what do we do with version 2? Do we need this branch anymore? Well, you could keep it around for testing or for the history. But if you wanted to delete it, you could just do this. You just click on delete right here. It'll ask you if you're sure and you say yes. So now version 2 branch is gone. If you're looking at master, you see the whole history. But when you're looking at this, you can't really tell which version went to the App Store. Like I can't tell that feature 2 went to the App Store. Well, there's another way you can add additional information, and that is with tags. So you see tags right here. There's no tags right now. But if you wanted to, you could right click this and you could add a tag. And you notice it says C1805D4. Well, that's this number right here. And again, that's just the unique identifier for a commit. So we can tag this. In here, we can just add a tag and say it's version 1. Oh, you know what? You can't add spaces for tags. Like if I try to create, yes, it'll say it's not a valid tag name. So you can't have spaces. And then I can just say release to the App Store. There we go. And then we have kind of like an idea of what was released. And then here, we know this was released to the App Store and this is version 2, so we can add a tag on that too. So tags are an easy way to kind of like group your commits together and categorize them. I just use them for version 1, version 2, but you can add tags to anything and quickly look up commits using them. All right, thanks guys. That's the end of chapter 2 for using source control. We talked about branching using source control, merging with source control, using Xcode, and we also talked a little bit about conflict resolution and how Git handles that, how it commits your resolution, and then you have to commit the final result afterwards. Hope you enjoyed these last 2 videos on using source control and you got something out of it. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and feel free to share it on social media so other people can also find this video. And remember, you can always help out by supplying a translation for the title and description, so it helps people in your country who speak your language find these videos and learn from them as well. Okay, consider subscribing because we will be coming out with more videos in this app series. The next one we're going to talk about is managing your project, managing the tasks, managing the features, and how to put them all together so you don't get overwhelmed by how much work you have to do. All right, guys, thank you.